In today's lesson, we'll be learning about the distributive property. In a previous lesson, we learned about the distributive property. We used this grocery bag as an analogy. In this grocery bag, you have one apple and two oranges. Now let's say you have two grocery bags of the same items. How many apples and how many oranges do you have now? Since you have two grocery bags now, you should have two apples and four oranges, which means everything has doubled or has been multiplied by 2. I want you to think of the distributive property like this grocery bag analogy. I want you to think of everything inside our brackets like our grocery bag. We have two grocery bags, which means you need to multiply everything by 2. I'm going to start by multiplying 2 and 4x. Since we are multiplying terms, that means we need to use the product rule. So we're going to first take a look at the coefficients. The coefficient here would be 2, and the coefficient here would be 4. We're going to multiply them. Therefore, 2 times 4 is equal to 8. Next, take a look at the bases. You'll notice that this term does not have a base, while this term does have a base of the variable x. Bases stay the same. Therefore, since you have a base of x, you're just going to write that as x. Last, you want to take a look at exponents. There is no exponent here since there is no base, and over here, there is no exponent as well. However, there actually is a hidden 1 as an exponent. We're supposed to add exponents, but since there is only one exponent here, it's just going to stay the same. At this point, you want to multiply the terms 2 and -3. That should be pretty straightforward. 2 times -3 is going to give you -6, because a positive times a negative gives you a negative answer. And we can do one more thing to clean this up. Generally speaking, we don't like to put exponents if they are the number 1, so you can actually just erase this. And it is understood that there is a hidden 1 above the variable of x. In our second example, I want you to think of everything inside the brackets as our grocery bag. However, this one's a little bit more complicated because you have a 2x to the power of 3 in front of it, which means everything inside the brackets is going to get multiplied by 2x to the power of 3. I'm going to start by multiplying these two terms together. Since we are multiplying terms, that means we need to use the product rule. The first step of the product rule is to look at the coefficients. The coefficient here would be 2, and the coefficient here would be 3. You want to multiply coefficients. Therefore, 2 times 3 gives you 6. Next, we want to take a look at the bases. The base over here is the variable of x, and the base over here is also the variable of x, and bases stay the same. So that variable of x is going to stay the same. Last, we want to take a look at exponents. The exponent in this term would be 3, and the exponent in this term would be 2. You want to add exponents. Therefore, 3 plus 2 will give you 5. We now want to multiply these two terms. We're going to repeat this process by first taking a look at the coefficients. The coefficient here is positive 2, and the coefficient over here is positive 1. We want to multiply coefficients. Therefore, 2 times 1 is going to give you 2, positive 2. So you should put a positive sign in front of it. Next, you want to take a look at bases. The bases over here would be x, and there is no base over here. Bases are supposed to stay the same, so you're going to leave the x as itself. And last, you want to take a look at exponents. The exponent over here is 3, and there is no exponent over here since there is no base. We're supposed to add exponents. Well, there is nothing to add this 3 to, so we're just going to leave it as 3. In our third example, all of the terms within the brackets are going to get multiplied by -5x. I'm going to start by multiplying these two terms. The very first step of using the product rule is to take a look at the coefficients. The coefficient in this term is -5, and the coefficient in this term is 3. you want to multiply coefficients. Therefore, -5 times 3 gives you -15. Why negative? Well, when you have a negative multiplied by a positive, you get a negative. Next, you want to take a look at the bases. The base of this term is the variable of x, and the base of this term is also the variable of x. Bases stay the same. Therefore, that variable of x is going to stay x. Last, you want to take a look at exponents. There is no exponent in this term, but if there is no exponent, that just means there's a hidden 1. The exponent over here in this term would be 2. You want to add exponents. Therefore, 1 plus 2 is going to give you 3. I'm now going to multiply these two terms. We need to start this process all over again, which means we need to take a look at the coefficients. The coefficient of this term is -5. The coefficient of this term is -2. You want to multiply coefficients. Therefore, -5 times -2 is going to give you +10. Next, take a look at the bases. The base of this term is the variable x, and the base of this term is the variable of x again. Bases stay the same. Therefore, that variable of x is going to stay the same. Last, you want to take a look at exponents. There is no exponent in this term, which just means there is a hidden 1 over here, and there is no exponent in this term, which again just means that there is a hidden 1 here as well. You want to add exponents. Therefore, 1 plus 1 is going to give you 2. In our fourth example, you want to multiply all the terms inside the brackets by 3x. I'm going to start by multiplying these two terms, which means I need to use the product rule. We're going to start with coefficients. The coefficient of this term is 3, and the coefficient of this term is 3 as well. You need to multiply coefficients, which means 3 times 3 is going to give you 9. Next, you want to take a look at bases. The base here is the variable x, and the base here is also the variable of x. Bases stay the same. Therefore, that variable of x is going to stay the same. Last, you want to take a look at the exponents. There is no exponent here, which means there actually is a hidden 1, and the exponent over here is 2. You want to add exponents. Therefore, 1 plus 2 is going to give you 3. I'm now going to multiply these two terms, and I'm going to quickly do the steps of the product rule. So 3 multiplied by -2 is going to give you -6. Bases are going to stay the same, so that's going to remain x. The exponent over here is actually 1, and the exponent over here is actually 1 as well. And you want to add exponents. Therefore, 1 plus 1 is going to give you 2. Last, we're going to multiply these two terms, and I'm going to again do this really quickly. So the coefficient here would be 3, and that would be +1. 3 times 1 is going to give you +3, and you should add a plus sign in front. Next, we want to take a look at the bases. There's a base over here, but there is no base over here, so that base is going to stay the same. There is an exponent over here. It's a hidden 1. And there is no exponent over here since there is no base. Therefore, the exponent of 1 really is just going to stay the same. However, I did mention that typically we do not write exponents of 1 in, so you can just go ahead and erase that 1. And it is understood that there is a hidden 1 above that x.